Coverage you can count on at 11 starts now.
First at 11, a round of powerful storms left damage and power outages across parts of Horry County today. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Adriana Lawrence. In Horry County, a tree crashed onto this SUV, trapping the driver inside. And investigators are looking into the cause of a fire in Myrtle Beach that forced several families out of their homes. News 13's Jordan Titus is live in the newsroom tonight after tracking the impacts across Horry County. And Jordan, what did you find out?
Adriana, I spoke to one neighbor who says she saw lightning strike a building along 37th Avenue North, followed by a loud boom and clouds of smoke.
I heard a big, loud sound. I was outside and I noticed a whole bunch of smoke coming from the building over across the way, and I called 911.
Smoke poured from this building along 37th Avenue North as fire crews rushed to the scene.
The smoke was really bad, and it was going to the other neighbors on the other side. That's where it was blowing. And I'm like, thank God, that we're okay. And I'm like, I hope nobody's in there.
For families who lived inside, the storm was far from over. One couple I spoke with had been outside for hours with a young girl, waiting to find out where they would stay next. The Red Cross was there working to help find them emergency housing. The cause of the fire remains under investigation, but News 13 chief meteorologist Frank Johnson says lightning was detected near 37th Avenue around 3:20 Tuesday afternoon, about the same time fire officials say the fire broke out. I was on the scene 3 hours later, and the smell of smoke still lingered in the air. The fire, one of several emergencies as slow-moving thunderstorms brought heavy rain across parts of Horry County. A flood advisory was issued for parts of the county, including Myrtle Beach, Garden City, Surfside Beach, and Socastee. Meanwhile, on North Kings Highway, a tree came crashing down on this SUV, trapping the driver inside. Horry County Fire Rescue crews managed to free the driver, who was taken to the hospital with injuries. Cleaning was underway from the tree, and the badly damaged SUV was being towed away. The storms also knocked out power to thousands. Santee Cooper reported about 3,300 customers affected at one point in the Garden City area. Horry Electric reported an earlier outage that impacted more than 700 members and says that outage was caused by the storm. Now back on 37th Avenue, Melanie Agostini says when a storm hits, it's important to help.
I asked them if they wanted water, Gatorade, and I brought them. The little girl got excited because she was like, yes, Gatorade.
As some families wait to find out where they'll go next.
I mean, yeah, I got goosebumps just even thinking about it.
The Red Cross is helping the displaced families tonight, and we're also working to learn more about the condition of the driver hurt on North Kings Highway. Live in the newsroom, Jordan Titus, News 13.
Jordan, thank you. Developing tonight, crews in Conway are making repairs after a water line break left many people in parts of the city with little to no water pressure. The city says the break is near Mill Pond Road along Crabtree Canal. Officials say it's in a swampy area that's hard to reach, and customers in the immediate area may not have water until the repairs are finished. Count on News 13 for updates both on air and online. In the PD, one 9-year-old and two 11-year-olds are accused of setting fire to playground equipment at a park in Florence. Now the mayor is calling on the community to help stop vandalism and destruction at the park. The fire happened at Dr. Iola Jones Park. Authorities say someone passing by stopped an officer to let them know the playground was on fire. When the officer arrived, 3 children were running from the area where the fire was burning. Mayor Barnes says this is not the first time incidents have happened at that park. From vandalizing other property at the park to destroying the garden, she says those responsible were not held accountable, but this time will be different.
We did not really use it as a teaching moment. That's why now I come and say, this time we're not going to just say, oh, it's just kids being kids. Kids need to understand that there's a price. There's a price. And these juveniles are now in trouble for damaging property.
The fire caused an estimated $1,500 in damages. Mayor Barnes says the children's parents or guardians should be held responsible for the cost. The 3 juveniles will have to appear before a family court. Count on News 13 for updates. New tonight, the U.S. military launched strikes against Iran, which may complicate ongoing negotiations to end the fighting between the countries. The strikes began hours after Iran fired on 3 merchant ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Officials say the U.S. targeted military sites and port facilities. Similar attacks by Iran and U.S. retaliation happened late last month. And during day 1 of the NATO summit in Turkey, President Trump reiterated his hope to settle Russia's war with Ukraine and make Greenland a part of the U.S. Jesse Mitchell has the details.
President Trump spent Tuesday night in Turkey, dining alongside Western allies at the NATO summit. The dinner came after a day of meetings in which the president addressed a host of global topics, including Russia's ongoing war with Ukraine. President Trump spoke optimistically about working with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to bring their war to an end.
I think they both want to make a deal. It's too bad it took so long, but I think there's going to be something's going to come out, and the president's also helping us with that. But I think there's something. I settled 8 wars, and I think we're going to be settling. And it doesn't seem likely now, but sometimes when war, I see. When it's least likely, that's when it happens.
The president will meet with Zelensky to discuss the war on Wednesday. Trump also reiterated Tuesday his desire for the U.S. to acquire Greenland and suggested he could pull U.S. armed services out of European countries in response to their ongoing insistence the island territory should remain a part of Denmark.
It was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark.
NATO's Secretary General said going forward, Europe must take greater responsibility for its own defense.
We cannot continue as we did, being over-reliant on the United States. We need this much stronger Europe in a stronger NATO. And we can only get there when we work together seamlessly as one.
President Trump returns to Washington Wednesday night after another day of meetings. Jesse Mitchell, CBS News, New York.
Also today, President Trump announced he will lift some economic sanctions on Turkey and consider allowing Turkey to buy U.S. F-35 fighter jets. The U.S. previously banned Turkey from the fighter jet program. New tonight and back to our area, Timmonsville Town Council honored former Police Chief James Allen with a plaque recognizing his service to the town. Allen resigned last month, citing personal reasons. He served as police chief since 2023. Under his leadership, the South Carolina Department of Public Safety named Timmonsville its Small Police Agency of the Year. For more than 3 decades, Chief Harold Buster Hatcher has led the Waccamaw Indian people. Now he's retiring. Hatcher founded the Waccamaw Indian people in 1992 after his son says the state refused to recognize Native people in South Carolina. That fight eventually led to the Waccamaw becoming the first state-recognized tribe in South Carolina in 2005.
All he wanted was just to be recognized, and not in like a federal sense or a state sense. He just wants to feel accepted by his society.
As he steps down, the tribe is honoring Hatcher with a new digital museum filled with decades of photos, recordings, and the history of the Waccamaw people. The tribe will have a passing of the torch ceremony this Friday to initiate its new chief, Cheryl Cale. Nearly 20 bridges in South Carolina, including a dozen in the PD and Grand Strand areas, will get replaced. That comes after the U.S. Department of Transportation approved $23.5 million in funding for the projects. First District Congresswoman Nancy Mace announced the funding in a news release. In our area, bridges will be replaced in Darlington, Florence, Georgetown, Horry, and Marion counties. According to the release, many of those bridges are more than 100 years old and nearly 40% are in poor condition. Frank.
We saw a good deal of showers and thunderstorms across the area today, some with heavy rain and lots of lightning. Rain chances will be lower for tomorrow, and that means it's going to be a little bit hotter. I'll have a look at how long the heat is going to last coming up.